Biloxi blues. It happens every night.
Every night.
And I ain't never met a riverboat dealer that could ever be a friend of mine.
I have not.
The summer heat never treats me kind. It leaves trouble on my mind. So I'm bidding farewell, putting in my notice, and I'll see you at another time. This highway.
We got a special guest waiting, and he's singing over here. Y'all can't even hear it. He's singing Biloxi Blues, even though he can't hear it.
Don't care. Heading my way for another place, and I got 3 good
right to the hook right here.
Spare. Just a white line gypsy getting out of Mississippi with just enough gas to get there.
Low budget live, not so live, from the Low Budget Live Bar and Grill. There is no grill, but it's a bar and grill. That's what we call it. Welcome all you low-lifers. This is the podcast for August the 18th, and it's a very special podcast because 4 years ago, on August the 10th, but 4 years ago, we started this dang crazy thing. I never thought that it would be what it is. Didn't really have any idea what we were doing, but me and my buddy Darian and Corey, we started the Forrest Wood Cup 4 years ago in 2017. And today, one of the first shows I got to do where I got to interview a tournament winner. I got to interview this guy. Y'all know who he is. I invited him to the Bar and Grill. He was gracious enough to come. And of all things, today is 4 years to the day. We're recording this a little early. 4 years to the day from when he won the Forrest Wood Cup. This is actually not the podcast for August 13th. I'm gonna backtrack. For August the 18th. It's August 16th. I have my dates wrong. You know what? Just don't at me on that. This is the podcast for August 16th. But we're recording this on the 13th. Because I got to go up north for the MPFL. But this man won the Forrest Wood Cup today, 4 years ago, changed his life. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not getting to come into the classic to rap music, but he's getting to come into Bar and Grill. Low budget live, right here. Here he comes, Justin Atkins. And look what he brought. Look at this. The freaking Forrest Wood Cup is on the Bar and Grill.
Yeah, I scratched it up pretty good.
Why'd you scratch it?
I don't know. I don't know how I did that.
The cup is here. Look at that. We can't shake that like the Startron. We can't.
You can try.
You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Yep. The top we decided. So I had Justin. Justin, it's literally the cup is blocking you. Let's move the cup to this chair. Yes.
You see good?
No, it's not in frame, but I think the people at home. Yeah, put it right there. Yeah, you can see it right there. Look, right there. The cup. The cup is here. We decided, we did a podcast right after that, and we were going to try to drink beer out of it.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen.
Can't get the top off.
The top does not come off.
Like, it might come off, but I didn't want to forcibly take it off. You know, it's kind of one of those things, like, if it would have just came off.
That's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime trophy. If you break it, and now you don't fish over there anymore, I don't think anybody would fix it for you.
Probably not.
The cup doesn't even exist anymore.
Probably not.
It's terrible. Yeah. It's terrible. But this is 4 years to the day, dude. I appreciate you coming. We did a podcast. It was actually in September when we did our Low Budget Live with Justin Atkins there in Florence, Alabama. Me, Darian. This one, Darian and Corey still cared about me.
Yeah.
And my podcast, Darian wasn't making tea. Corey wasn't consumed with selling boat parts. And they were just like down to podcast wherever. But
at all times.
At all times, but they're not now. I got to say real quick before we jump in, y'all know how we do this. A huge thanks to my sponsors. And these guys right here, this all started. They had sponsored me on FLW, but the first night we did an Instagram live, Low Budget Live, I shook a bottle of Startron, like kind of being goofy, to be honest. And Startron was like, hey, we like that. We want to sponsor the podcast. We want to. And so through me stop fishing the tour, everything, they stuck with me. So thanks to the folks for Startron, kicking ethanol in the teeth, in your weed eater, in your chainsaw. I don't know, your outboard engine, everything. Nothing ruins a good day on the water, Justin, like an outboard engine that won't run. I think we all
Correct.
agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And ethanol is trash. Ethanol is straight trash. Sorry for all you corn farmers out there. But a little dab will do you. Kick ethanol in the teeth with StarTron. Look.
Is that how you do it?
Yeah, that's how you do it. You just choke her down, son, and go to shaking. StarTron. Probably get fired after that, but that's all right. It's been a good run. It was worth it. StarTron, the folks from Sims Fishing Products, jumped on board with us this year. Many thanks to the folks at Sims. Love the rain suits, love the Solar Flex hoodies. I say it each and every week out here. And I'm going to get to go up north to fish some big water this week. And I'm sure I'm going to need a rain suit at some point.
Yeah,
even on them sunny days.
Will.
So, Sims, I'm here to want all you low lifers to remember you get one life. Fish it well. Pro Guide batteries. Them lithium Pro Guide batteries. I actually got a text from the folks at Pro Guide yesterday and said, y'all been using that code LBL10 to buy those lithiums. So get them while they're hot. They got them on the website right now, ProGuideBatteries.com. You can use code LBL10 and get yourself some lithiums. And last but not least, hang the freaking banner. Express Boats, Hot Springs, Arkansas. And all y'all that comment all the time, I want to see that thing in some big water. We'll take us to some big water. By God, you're fixing to get to your chance this week.
Yeah, you about to,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
It's a really, really cool banner.
It is a cool banner. They sent it to me. My man Clay at Express sent that, and I didn't think because of the roof line. I was trying to explain to him, like, it's just kind of tricky. Mm-hmm. He wanted it behind. He's like, hey, hang this behind you on the podcast. We made it work. We got it up there. The camera sometimes will be a little off, and people say their OCD gets to them. And like it, that it looks crooked, but actually it's pretty straight. Will you vouch for me?
That's straight or not?
Okay, there we go. Justin Atkins, the man himself, says it is straight. But Express Boats, we're going to put it to the test. Lake Michigan, the X21 this week. I'm going up there. I'm going camping, dude. I'm going to camp on the side of Lake Michigan.
I'm really impressed with that. I've kind of had this like camping itch myself here lately.
Me too.
But I think I'd get over it kind of quick.
For sure.
But like for the first night or two, I'd be like, we're camping.
I was talking to Brad from Fuller from the MPFL yesterday, and I said, I told him what I was doing. He was telling me, hey, we're staying at the Best Western and up there, Lake Winnebago, for the MPFL next week. And I said, dude, I'm not going to lie. After about 2 nights of sleeping on a cot in a tent, which I think's an awesome idea, sitting here at the house in Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, I'm going to be ready for the Best Western, I think.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the cool part would be like, cooking you a little something like lakeside, eating a little breakfast. Just
on the side of Lake Michigan.
Just connect.
Couple nights of it.
Yeah.
I'm good. Now, some of y'all listening to this probably thinking, oh, them sissies.
Yeah.
I can go for 7, 8. Some people love it. I love it, like you're saying, for short periods of time.
I think my biggest deal with it is if I was on like a vacation, like going somewhere for fun, I could probably do it. And that's when it would really be fun. When I'm fishing a tournament, I'm getting ready for an elite series. I ain't trying to swap mosquitoes or it be like 82 all night and I'm trying to sleep.
You want to take all the factors out.
Yeah, like I'm trying to like actually be rested.
Yeah.
Have somewhere to take a shower. The whole shooting match. But like for a fun trip, go smallmouth fishing for 3 days, I think it'd be cool to do.
Well, all I got's a little 2-man tent, the Express, and dude, here's the tricky part. And y'all hear me talk about Pro Guide batteries all the time on here. I have no power at my campsite. So I'm fitting to try to charge my batteries off my truck. Maybe leave my truck running a little bit. Not real sure how that's going to work.
It's going to be interesting.
One night. So they'll be fully charged when I get there. I'm only staying 2 nights. We're going to roll the dice. Them Pro Guides will hang in there, I think. But going to put the X21 in the test. Hope to make some videos up there to at least show you guys, because I've done the shallow water videos. I talk about it in rough water. But like Justin will tell you, it doesn't even matter. Like you could be in a battleship up there some days and it just does not matter. But the 21-foot Express, I've had it in rough water. Justin will tell you, too. You can vouch for it. Tennessee River gets as rough as anywhere we go. Now, that water up there is different.
It's different in the fact that they just get big. And I'll be honest with you, after spending some time up there, especially like after that last trip to St. Lawrence, running into Ontario, I like them big better than I do medium.
Yeah.
Because when they get real big, they spread out and they start rolling.
Can surf them.
And you just kind of ride them until you get where you want to. And then you get in the trough and you can run. And you can run 70 in a trough.
That's right.
It's wicked because you have water on both sides. Right. But you can run them. But like 3-footers or
beat you
yacht waves, things like that, they will beat you to death because you can't. There's no gap.
Like a west wind on Pickwick against the current. Oh, yeah. You're just for 3-footers for miles. But and I've had the X21 in that crap this year on Wheeler, and I've been beyond impressed. But we're gonna put it to that big water test. Express Boats, bringing you low budget live and building excitement since 1966. All right, Justin Atkins, we got all that out of the way. You even helped me with the sponsor, but Watson did too. That's always kind of awkward. I feel like the sponsoree, when I got a guy sitting here ready to rumble. I don't know how Joe Rogan does that. I'll probably call him, find out, because he's got sponsor reads too. Thanks to all the sponsors, and thanks to you for riding up here, dude, on the freaking 4-year.
Can I let this down a little bit?
Yeah,
I feel like it's just in my eyes.
You feel like it's in your? I forget you're vertically challenged like I am.
A little bit.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Is you
like
better
that
now?
better. Now I
You
feel
like that better? Look at the camera. Yeah, you're not hidden as much. We can knock it down another inch or two if we need to.
I can even hit this number a little bit.
Hey, well, yeah, that mic picks up a lot. You don't have to eat it like I do this one. So, you're
good.
You're good to go. You sound like $1 million. Star Tron, get at my boy here. Star Tron Wrap. You may be sponsored by some fuel treatment I don't even know about.
I'm not.
I
But
feel like I know your sponsor game.
I really like the screen cleaner.
Oh, their screen cleaners.
Smells delicious
Yes,
too.
they're boat guard too. That you can clean your wrap off because you're like me. You're just dirty.
Yeah,
Not as a person, but like
but
your stuff. You're too busy worried about catching a bass, and that's
Yeah.
me. Like I don't wash my stuff near as much as I should. And
100%.
that boat guard, you hit it, little towel action on the side. On a boat wrap.
And especially if it puts any kind of wax on it, then
That's
the
right.
dirt don't stick to it
That's
near
right.
as bad.
Yeah.
So you can go a little longer, and it just cleans it right
I
back
use
up.
it on the truck too when I'm just being lazy out there. I'm not Zach Burge. I've talked to him about that. My man will get his tackle ready, and then he just cleans every piece of his truck and boat. And I respect it. I just
It's
not
just
built
me.
that way. No,
It's just not me.
Not built that way, man. If you get in my boat and it's absolutely clean,
It's brand new.
You know, yes.
I just picked it up.
I just pulled it home from Arkansas. So, dude, we were talking before the podcast started. This was 4 years ago today. I know I've said it several times already, but it just kind of got me. I'm like, dude, it's today. Like, your
crazy.
life changed today, 4 years ago, and
I was riding around with 300 in the box right now.
$300,000 in the box.
Yep.
And did you know it? And I think I've asked you this before, but did you? Because you and Cobb were like neck and neck.
So, funny story. First day we go out there, and I learned a good lesson my rookie year, and I'll try not to get into like too many stories spreading this all out. But I learned a good lesson because several times I got on them really good in tournaments that year, and I would lay off of them the first day. Mm-hmm. And then the second day I go back, I couldn't get a bite, and I would end up just barely getting a check or just barely missing a cut. And I'm like, man, if I'd just caught 2 more pounds yesterday, I'd end up top 10 in this tournament, so on and so forth. So we get to the Cup that year, and I'm like, all right, if I catch 17, that's going to be strong. And I felt like I catch 17, 18 pretty confidently. Just the bites I got in practice. And, obviously I knew that Shane and Brandon were going to catch them, and Brandon had been catching them doing the same things because we had talked about how many people are going to be doing it. Because he's like, you seen anybody down there? And I'm like, not really. He said, I hadn't either. Are we about to have a shootout between the two of us? And I'm like, probably so.
That's
It's going to be freaking awesome. We're about to mash on them. So this whole thing's kind of transpiring. So I've got this number in my head. I'm like, if I catch 17, maybe 18, I better lay off of them. Well, like 3 stops in, I'd caught 18. And I'm like, I better keep mashing because somebody else is going to. I done learned that lesson. Like somebody else is going to. So end up catching a 6-pounder while Brad Knight was on me.
Doing the coverage. Shout out BK, who also was our first low budget live guest ever. So it's all tying together.
Yep, it's all tying together. So I end up catching like a 6-pounder. Gives me 21, whatever I had the first day. And the bite would really die off at like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So it's like 10:30 when I catch the 6. So I kind of feel like we got what we got for the day. End up leading the first day. Well, the second day, the weather changed a little bit. And I was faced with some conditions that I really didn't fish in practice at all. And it changed how the fish were acting and the way they were set up. And it took me, I already got a short window. I got 3 hours to catch them. Well, it took me an hour and a half to figure out kind of like where I was going wrong. And then I managed to catch 5 keepers the second day to have like 16. Had I landed some of the bites I had and some of the fish that come up schooling, had I been prepared, I could have caught a 20 bag that day too. But I ended up catching 5 keepers. The last one wasn't even that big, And I remember reeling it up, and I done boat flipped like 4-pounders and 5-pounders and all this, and I'm reeling it up, and I'm like, I'm gonna net this one. Like, it's my 5th keeper. It's the end of it's like laid in the bite window. Like, I better just net it. And I remember grabbing the net, and I pulled this little 3-pounder up there and stick the net, and it come off in the net.
No.
And I'm like,
dang.
all right, it's happening. Like, for whatever reason,
Things are in motion.
It's happening.
That's crazy.
On the way we had like an hour ride to weigh in. That's day 2. So we had like an hour ride to weigh in. And my buddy Kelly Reedheimer calls me, and he's like, man, you know, you've had a good tournament, yada, yada. Man, it was good, blah, blah, blah. I don't think you're going to be leading anymore. I said, dude, I'm about to win. And he's like, you think? He was like trying to like give me this whole, it's going to be all right. Like, you did
good, buddy.
Yeah,
you did good, yeah.
And I'm like, bro, I'm about to win. He said, what do you mean? And he's like, you think? You know, you didn't catch him as good today. I said, dude, I just missed it. But, like, I know what to expect. If it's cloudy, I know what to expect. If it's sunny, I know what to expect.
Never stop practicing.
I was like, it's going down tomorrow. He's like, all right, we'll go get him. So, told you all that to tell you this part. You said, what part did you know you were about to win? That happened morning of day 3. Daniel Douglas, still, obviously one of my best friends of all time.
Shout out Double D.
Double D. You're my boy, Double D. We don't get to talk as much. He's got older kids. They're playing softball and traveling, doing the whole thing. And
I can see Double D being the intense travel softball guy.
Yeah,
I get that. Yeah, I can see that.
So, we're still good friends. Yeah. I don't get to talk to him as much as I once did, but like at that point in time, like we went everywhere together. We fished everything we could. Like we were tight. And that morning, he's like, all right, dude. He said, you're going to catch 2 5-pounders this morning, and you're going to win that tournament. Like, it's going down. And he was at Blast-Off, and he's like, Cobb's had 2 really good days. He's due an off day. Because day 1 and day 2, somebody had an off day and somebody had a good day. Right. And Cobb was the only one that had 2 really good ones. He's like, he's kind of due to have an off day today.
That's cool.
He's like, but you're going to catch 2 5-pounders this morning to start your morning off, and you're going to win this tournament. So we blast off. I go to a few places I wanted to start, lose like a big one, but it's just crickets. I'm not getting any bites hardly. I'm not seeing any. The one I lost was the only fish I saw come up. And I just remember, like, I just started having these thoughts of how I'm about to explain on stage how I didn't catch them today. Why I didn't.
We all get,
And it's like, an hour and 45 minutes into fishing, I'm having these thoughts. And I just remember being like, quit. Why are you doing that? Like, screw that. You got a chance to win a life-changing tournament. I just remember, like, I'm fighting these demons out here.
Yeah.
People are watching on live, and I'm just up there casting. But I've got these demons in my head.
But you're a train wreck between your ears, yeah.
And so it's like, that's what the part that people don't ever see, or don't understand. So it's like, I, collect myself, and I'm like, all right. There was one pile across the lake that I fished late on day 2 that I caught a 4-pounder out of. And I saw a bunch in it, but I only got 1 bite. And I'm like, it's still early. I need to go to that one. So I crank up my run as hard as I can all the way across the lake. I pull up, and they're just busting everywhere. And I can't land on one of them. I can't either cast to them, or they miss my bait, or I hook up with them, they come off. So now I'm like, all right, you had a good chance, and you've done dicked it all up. Like you pumped yourself up. You made the best
and
move
now you're back
of all
on
time.
you idiot.
And then you lost about 19 pounds worth over here, or had them bite, missed them, the whole shooting match. I'm like, and you screwed it all up. So I'm like, all right, back to how am I going to tell these people I zeroed today?
In an arena.
And so I have this battle with myself again. I'm like, all right, now just chill out. I'm like, there's a cane pile right here, and there was one over here. I'm like, I'm a long cast off of them. So I kind of get lined up, rear back, hum that, that pencil popper out there over it. I don't chug it 4 times. 5-pounder eats it. Get him up by the boat, net him, throw him in the box. I'm like, freaking sweet. I turn, I sail out over the other one. I don't chug it about 5 times, and a big one blows up on it. To this day, I don't know what happened because the fish rolled on it, and I loaded up, and it come free, but it wasn't like I ever had him hooked. I think he was almost lassoed with my line or something. Or like he hit it, and my line got hung on him. Because it was never like I had the fish hooked. It's just like I could feel the pressure, and then it come free, and when it come free, my bait shot out of the water and skipped. And by the time I got it tight, she just flushed it from behind. And it had to be the same one because I thought it was a 6-pounder when it come up and ate it the first time. And then I caught one that's almost a 6-pounder. So I feel like it's the same fish. But anyways, fish blows up on it, comes free, my bait skips, and she just flushes it. So I reel down tight and I hook her. And when I scooped that fish, it actually, as I scooped it, it come out, my hooks hung the net, and it come out, and I just flopped it over in the boat, like hanging. I didn't even net it. I just hung it in the net and set it over in the boat. And I'm like, all right, number one, that fish didn't come off. That's a miracle.
Yeah.
So it's happening. But the first 2 I caught this morning are 5-pounders.
And so you're going back to Double D, yeah.
I'm about to freaking win this tournament. And, dude, my whole mindset changed. From that moment right there, I was like, I'm winning. I'm going to win, period.
Somebody else going to have to tell them why they didn't catch them today.
Yeah,
I'm fixing to win.
This is over. Like, it's all happening. The first 2 I caught this morning are 5-pounders. Shout out Double D. I stand back up, catch another, 3-something, crank up, run to the next pile. They come up and bust, and for some reason, I when I'm catching them on one specific bait, I always have 2 of them rigged up. Mm-hmm. When I got to this spot, I had undone one, had it laying there. They come up busting, I throw my pencil popper out there, and I'm working it, and one hits it and reversed the hooks. So the hooks got hung on the main line. And so I reeled it in, and instead of trying to get it undone, I just dropped that rod, picked the other one up, and underhand pitched it out there. And the fish ate it, and it was like a 4 3/4. And I was like, it's over. I can't do wrong. For some reason, I leveled up at that moment. And it's just a mindset between your ears. And it's like, I can't do it every time I go out. You know what I mean? I go out, I have my days where I go out there and I suck. But when you know what's going on and you're fully confident in what you're doing and how it's all panning out and things that you can't be beat. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's happening. And I have a lot of days where I've caught them really good, but I don't win. And I look back and I'm like, man, I missed this bite here. I did this and I did that. But the day I won, I had that rod laying there and I laid it out there on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that kind of stuff, whether it's local tournaments, whatever, when you're having a good one, even if you don't win, if you're having a good one, you're like, hey, I need to go fish. That looks good. You roll in there, flip a jig, catch a 5-pounder. You're like, and in years where it's not going good, you're like, hey, that looks good, and you roll in and you don't get a bite. You don't get a bite like that. Or you hang your jig, right? I mean, and you're like, you go to skip a good dock and you bang off the dock. I mean,
there's one dock you always get a bite on.
Yes.
And then you go to it and it doesn't matter what you throw over, it's straight up home.
Yes.
Or you get
1,000,000%.
I'll tell you something's happened to me twice this year in the elites. Not once, but twice. Happened at Gunnersville. I had a brim bed I was going to throw at that had some big ones on it. And then at the St. Lawrence River, I had a current break that I'd caught 2 big smallmouth out of in practice and saw 3 or 4 more in. And I was going to fish it on my way back. Both times I got there and there was a yellow lab swimming on them.
What?
Twice this year at Gunnersville. I went all the way to the back of this creek to go fish one brim bed. When I made the corner, there was a yellow lab swimming circles in it.
And you love labs, but you hated them.
And I'm just like, is this a joke? So then I leave Ontario and run all the way back and stop at this current break at St. Lawrence River, pick my fly up, and I looked, and this lab bails off the bank straight out into the current break and just starts swimming around.
Was that Chris and Corey Johnson's lab, you think? Could have been. Could have been.
They just travel with it.
Yes, I think so. But, and it was Wes Logan's lab at freaking Gunnersville. Yeah. That's who it was. So. Just over there, or Caleb Kupal, who just smashed on him.
He did smash
over
on
there.
Him.
Dang,
that's what I'm saying. When things aren't going right, sometimes you just gotta laugh.
And
because
dude,
it's just not.
It's crazy the mentality, and everybody watching this as a tournament fisherman understands that mentality because, day one of the Open this year at Pickwick, had a good day, right?
Yeah.
15th place, whatever, 17 pounds. But in my hands, I had a 5-pound brown one that culls a 2.5 that puts me over 20, that puts you in the top 3, and completely, in my opinion, changes your whole mindset for the entire event.
1,000%.
So instead of, hey, I'm trying to make the cut, it's like, I can go win this thing.
Yeah.
And then the second day I go out and catch 10 pounds and I suck. But you're like, but if you've got that bag the first day,
it could potentially change what you catch the second.
Absolutely.
I think there's a lot to be said for being confident in what you're doing because things change a little bit every day. But
Always.
it can be a little tougher on day 2, but if you know what's going on and you commit to it, you adjust and do a little things. Sometimes you figure it out later in day 2 and it still works out.
It's
Whereas
attitude.
when you're not as confident in it, you bail on something at 9.
Yeah.
It can build on you real
No
quick
doubt.
where you
No
wake
doubt.
up and it's 2 and you still ain't caught
That's
them.
right.
When you would have been better off sticking with what you were doing and either throwing something different or figuring out where they moved to, or you know what I mean, the whole shooting
That
match.
confidence is huge.
That confidence makes a big difference.
It really does. Well, talk about, so we were lucky enough, I had you here at the first of the season. It was right after the schedule change had been announced. The Classic was going to be in June and Pickwick was going to be in March. And you had 3 Tennessee River events. We were talking about this year going in. How do you grade, and I feel like I know what you're going to say, but how do you grade your first year on the elites? Because you had good ones, you had bad ones, and I know you were frustrated at times because I've talked to you, but how do you grade your overall first year on the elites as far as just the experience and grade yourself?
The experience gets an A. I get a solid D-. Like, it was pretty terrible. And it was a good learning year, just because I had a lot of struggles. And I don't mean this in any kind of arrogant way or nothing, but I haven't had a lot of those.
No, you're young
Whereas
and you're still.
my
2017 was your rookie year. You're 4 years into this.
That's what I'm saying. I'm 4 years in, and I haven't had a year where, like, a lot of things just didn't go right. Like, I just made bad decisions, weather changes, lakes flooding, you know, I mean, like, just, it was something a lot, like, there was a lot of differences in a lot of years up to this point. I've just made those stellar decisions where I was like, well, let's go try this, and it worked. This year, a lot of it just didn't work, you know, and I fished a lot of tournaments with way too much preconceived notion, like, they'll be doing this, I'm going to catch them like this, and it just wasn't, you know what I mean, and I just kept trying to pound that, and it just wasn't a good year. Now, here's the thing, it wasn't a terrible year. I cut 4 checks out of 8, 5. I don't remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I ended up
end the year on,
and
like,
I ended the year with a second. You know,
a super high note.
Had I not been an idiot at Champlain, I probably should have top 10 both of those. You know what I mean? So it's not like I had a terrible year. Like, I fished a tournament, I was in contention to win, made some cuts. I just had a couple, like, real bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had 3 80-plussers. That sucks.
It's rough in an
happens.
100-boat field. Like,
Yeah.
points wise, that hurts.
You know, and Champlain's one that, like, really kind of bothered me because it was like, I guess the biggest lesson I took from it was you look at Pickwick and you look at my Champlain, and Pickwick after day 1, I was like 30-something, but it was like, I'm going to win. I want to win this tournament. Like, I know where they get. I'm about to go wind this plug, and when I run into them, I'm going to smash 27. Like, it's going to happen. And, like, I wound and never caught them. Problem is, I fished 2 different places that guys top 10 the tournament on, because the last day, Kyle Jesse and Bowman asked me to go back out there and, like, let's go follow guys around. We'll get you on live a little bit, talk about what they're doing, where you went wrong. And, like, we pulled up on 2 different places. I was like, hey, you see these lines? And that's how it's squiggly right here. It's because I fished right here on day 2 for hours, you know, and just never caught them. But the biggest thing that I really took from this year is you look at Pickwick, day 1, I'm in like 30-something. You look at Champlain, day 1, I'm in like 11th. Both of those day 2s, I just was like, we're going to freaking do this. I went and wound that plug at Pickwick all day. And at Champlain, I went and threw that top water. When really, I probably could have just got a jerkbait out and caught my 14 or 15
Just laid
pounds.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, go throw that layup, get a little swim bait out, catch 14 or 15 pounds. You know, like, there's several things probably could have done and just cut a check, just finished in them 30s, finished in them 40s, and that would have gave me 100. If I'd have finished 40th in both of those, that would have gave me almost 90 more points than I got. I missed the Classic by like 100. You know what I mean? So you look at it and it's like, maybe sometimes just don't be an idiot. Like, when you're going to win, it's going to happen. And so when you go to lay up, you end up catching 2 7-pounders. You know what I mean? But it's like, just maybe I just got a little bit cocky.
Well, that's why I was going to say not cocky, but do you think like early in your career, you don't know what you don't know? We hear people say that.
Correct.
And you had never won. But then once you win, and then you win an open, and then you have that success, you get that killer instinct. Do you think that
absolutely
for you, I know you well, you're a guy like finishing 60th don't matter to you.
Yeah.
Like you want to be up there, you want to be the guy they're talking about, you want to be on live.
Yeah.
So do you think sometimes that does hurt you because you just say,
1,000%.
and I don't want anybody to think, oh, well, that's a good excuse, swing for the fences.
No.
All the time. It's not. It's more than that.
Yeah, that's right. It's not a swing for the fences. I'm trying to finish as high as I can in every one. But to me, it's like, if I'm going to finish 45th, I get 10 grand. So let's use 51st. If I'm going to finish 51st, I don't care if I finish 91st.
Yeah,
that's the same to me. I don't
that.
care about the $2,500 check.
Yes.
Don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Excuse my French. I don't care.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people are like, oh, well, I finished 60th. I got that 20. That's a Band-Aid, dude. And I'm sorry if that offends somebody. I'm out there to make money and win and compete.
And promote your sponsors. I mean, everything.
Sponsors.
Everything.
I'm trying to get coverage. So if laying up is after my practice, if I feel like me laying up and I can just go do this and I'm going to finish 50th, 55th, screw that. I'm going to just go do something different on the first day of the tournament. And sometimes it works, and I'm going to wind up having a great tournament event. Sometimes I'm going to finish in the 80s. And I finished in the 80s 3 times this year doing that, but at the same time, like, it pissed me off. But when I started, I knew good and well what I was getting into. Like, you might have a bad one here. Like, this one may turn out down here, but you might end up here. And Champlain was the biggest one I saw that in, where I'm like, I get that, it's good to have that killer instinct. Like, it's good to want that. But in the long run, the goal is to make the Classic every year.
That's a consistent career. Because you can't win it if you're not in it.
That's right. So next year, we're going to back up on some of that. I'll take that 51st over that 85th because I don't want those to compile. Because, like, when you have one a year, it's not a big deal. You have one where that happens, it's fine. But I see now it's a real possibility to throw down a couple of them. Like, it can happen really quick where it just don't work out.
That's right.
So it was a learning experience.
Well, I think we've seen guys like Polnick. He has that mentality, right? And once he got a couple wins, especially, he was like, and forever in his career, I don't want to say forever, he hasn't been doing it very long either, but for years it was like he was 90th or top 5.
Yeah.
80th or top 5, but now he's
found that consistent
Right.
rhythm, and now he's always up high. You know what I mean?
He's terrifying to me. Yeah,
his bad tournaments now have become.
I had 40s. A damn 15th.
Yeah,
well, I know,
but
that's
a bad
for
one.
sure. Seth's another.
For sure.
He's had a couple wins, but he's a guy that's like a mirror. We looked at it today, an average
third place
average for the last 3 years for Seth Fighter, guys.
Yeah. So that's where I want to get to, and that's a good way to put that. You need to figure out how your layups become 40s and 30s.
That's right.
When your layups are 30s, that's when you have an awesome career.
To me, the best example of it, 2 of my favorite examples, and not just because they're friends of ours, but Strader.
Yeah.
And Swindle.
Yeah.
But I think Swindle would trade some of that consistency for a blue trophy, right? Because I think that bugs him at times. Not as bad as people would probably think, because Gerald's completely content. He's had a great life. He's made a great living. He's provided for his family for years doing this, and he is just a carpenter from Alabama that got lucky enough to get to do it, and he's grateful. But he is that guy making chicken salad out of chicken shit. That's his favorite saying to me for years, and he's like, old grinder gonna grind. And I mean, he's just that guy that he turns those bad ones into 30s and 40s. And right. Sometimes you just when I first started fishing the tour, it was the best advice he ever gave me. Of course, I turned it into a lot of hundreds a lot of times, but obviously it's why I'm hosting Low Budget Live for all you haters. Before you even comment, like, you don't even have to comment. Like, I understand how my fishing career went. But hey, the podcast is working out. It was worth it. It was all good.
That's it. That's my learning experience from the year. That's what I wanted to take from it. Sometimes you got to have bad to step back and see where you need to be in a few years, and that's That's going to be what I want to take.
Get that
from this.
longevity.
When
long
I know,
career.
when I know it's happening, I'm on a great pattern. Yeah, we're going to go out there and smash on them. When I have practices where I feel like they're a little off, or you're at home and you're like, I know this is what's happening. Like I'm going to figure out how to tone it down a little bit. Let's figure out how to make sure our bad ones become 30s and 40s.
Y'all heard it here. Justin Atkins is going to tone it down. I know Justin Atkins, and I don't think he's ever going to tone it down. But I hope you do, because it was. I know you were frustrated. Let me ask you this, because I was a wreck on the last day of live. St. Lawrence River, I was texting Zona like, dude, is my boy going to win this thing? Because on Bass Track it looked really close. Did that, because it was win and you were in the Classic.
Yeah.
Other than that, take the Classic out of it. Did missing that win, was that a long drive back home for you? Tessa and Cooper came up. I know it was awesome. And a second place in Elite Series is like absolutely nothing to sneeze at, especially on a river that really you haven't fished a ton.
Been to one time.
Yeah. So how was that? How did you feel after that? Because Taku's great. Congrats to Taku again.
Yeah,
Nobody's hating on Taku for winning.
No. I mean, dude, I didn't fly across an ocean to come over here and fish tournaments. You know
right.
what I mean?
That's
like,
right.
Good for that guy. I'll never down that. Man, if it had been a year where I had caught them really good, I probably would have been a little bit upset. But I was like, if you had told me before this started, you're going to miss the Classic, but you can finish second in this one.
The last one.
Just don't put your boat in the water. I'd have been like, all right, I'll take it. You know what I mean?
And to go against the Johnsons and the guys up there that are heralded as, and they're fantastic up there, but you mix it up, you found your own deal, and you end up finishing second. I'll be honest, like, this is what I'll say about Justin and my relationship, that I always, it's funny getting to know somebody and believing in them. But that cup 4 years ago, you and I, we've joked about this 100 times, but y'all are new. Listen, I'm going to tell the story again. But I had Snapchat at the time. I don't really mess with Snapchat that much anymore, but you and I were snapping. You were over there. I didn't make the cup, obviously. And you made it, and you were over there pre-fishing, and you were sending me pictures big. And I said, how's it going? And you're like, man, it's pretty dang good. And this was like 2 weeks for the thing, or 3 weeks, right? Yeah, before cutoff. And I made you a bet. I said, you had posted a song, Some Girls Do, by Sawyer Brown. He's listening to some old school country that morning going to the ramp. And I said, if you win this thing, you got to sing that on stage. So fast forward to the last day, and he and I talked and practiced a little bit, and he was feeling good. I said on this podcast, Justin's going to win. And, of course, Darian's giving me crap because he's like, you got insider info. And I'm like, yeah, but he's fixing to win. And on the first ever episode of this. And he goes on to win it. But one of the coolest moments that ever happened in my life, and Darian loves to tell the story because it blew Darian's mind. Blew mine too, but we're in the booth. We're working the Expo for TH Marine, and my phone rings, and it's Justin. And it's before the weigh-in on the final day. And I'm like, and I said, hey, I got to get this. It's Atkins. And I walk out of the booth, and Darian just like followed me like a puppy, right? Like he comes over, and he's like, what do you think's wrong? I'm like, I don't know, hang on. So I asked him, what's up, dude? Is everything okay? Because I thought, damn, his truck blew up. Like something happened. He's going to be late. He's going to lose. Because everybody in the arena and everybody that worked for FLW was like, he's got it. Our guy's got it or whatever. So it like double D. Like it's all Doug. Like everybody's fired up, right? So he says, hey, man. As soon as I was like, what's up, buddy? Everything all right? And he goes, you ain't really going to make me sing, are you? And dude, for the rest of my life, it'll be one of my favorite stories because in this moment, one of my good friends is fixing to hoist this cup and win $300,000, and he legitimately was nervous, thinking that I was going to go on. So he's like, "Man, Luke's a crazy idiot. He's going to talk to Bill Taylor and he's going to get it worked out." Well, I ain't first class, but then I was going to make him sing Sawyer Brown. He goes, you ain't really going to make me sing, are you? As soon as I answered the phone, man, it was one of the most beautiful moments. But
I was like, I'm going to have the coolest moment of my life and then the most embarrassing moment back to back.
Luke Duncan's going to ruin it, which does happen at times. But for me, it was the same way at the St. Lawrence, though. And we didn't talk as much. I was busy. I guess LMPFL was at Pickwick. We were at Pickwick. And I guess it was maybe it was our production run through day. I can't remember, but you sent me just a snippet video of you releasing an absolute mega smallmouth. And I text my dad and said, Atkins is fixing to destroy him. And he's like, how do you know that? I said, he don't send crap like that unless it's like, go. You know what I mean? I said, I just had that feeling. And then I'm watching Bass Track as we're doing MPFL the first time. I was like, And my brother's texting me, dude, Justin, he's smashing them. He's going crazy. So it's cool being a part of that on this side because I'm not out there as much anymore. Because that was cool fishing the tour and getting to know you. We always talked in practice and kind of I knew what was going to go down with you, you know, a lot of the times. And we would share info and I never utilized that info like you did. But I'll never forget too, one time at Cumberland, I'll tell this story on you. You and I, like, I had caught them the year before we'd been there on a spinnerbait. And, dude, in practice, I just couldn't get it going. Couldn't catch crap. And you caught some. You're like, dude, you just got to, like, just keep it in your hands. Let's keep throwing it. And I'm like, man, they are not biting it. And I had stretches that I was, like, so pumped to go back there for the second year because I'm like, I'm fixing to top 10 this. I know where they live. Dude, in practice, like, I checked them, like, 5 times. I'm checking other stuff. And you were catching a few. It wasn't great in practice. Yeah. It was cold. But then the first day of the tournament, I'm like, just kept it locked in. And all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. I start catching some. I ended up getting a check in the event. Justin made the cut. But there was a stretch of lake. You had been down the lake. You come back up. You're like, hey, have you fished this stretch up here? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to fish it. I'm going to stay down here. Rolls in. He catches him a 5-pounder. Yeah. A stretch that I had fished a year before. But it's just that kind of being out there, man. I miss that. But it's cool, the stories and getting to keep up with it and pull for all y'all. And you know, all the guys that I care about, I like to see everybody do good especially if they deserve it and they work hard. Like a Taku, how can you not love a guy that's on Bassmaster Live going, Taku boat, smallmouth Disneyland, yeah. Come in my boat. Like, dude, my boys were watching that on the couch, just losing it. Of course, they're watching. Oh, yeah. Dad, Justin, you're on FSN. Like Hudson Duncan is 13 years. He's like, Dad, he comes to our house sometimes. Like, this is all like he's losing his mind because he's in that bass fishing fandom right now that we were in. So it's cool for me to see all that. Speaking of people that are just like, I got to ask you your opinion on this because you know him well and you fished against, but like Jacob Wheeler, like we got to spend some time on LBL and this anniversary. Like,
it's incredible.
I text him and I said, dude, you know, over the years, I felt like they would ban you, you know? and I said, but they're going to ban you now. Yeah. Like, you're going to get banned. They're going to vote you off the island like Survivor. I'm like, you just can't keep doing what you're doing. They're not going to keep putting up with it. Like, I feel like MLF's like, damn, man, we would like to write somebody else a check. Like, it's crazy, dude. I mean, I don't think so because obviously he fishes ducket rods. I feel like Boyd's like, yeah, boy. Yeah, probably very happy about it. But dude, these performances
and here's the thing, is it's not just that format. No. Last year they had those 3 super tour events and he went 1, 2, and 2 in them. And I'm like,
I think I saw somebody post he's won 3 and finished second in 2 this year. But he's not leading AOI. I don't think I understand how the points work because that doesn't even compute in my head. But at the same time,
I looked it up the other day. He had one where he finished like 50th.
Really? He didn't make a cut because I didn't realize that.
And I think Ott won that one.
And Ott has gills as well.
Yes.
Like, it's him and Ott. They have figured out, and I don't want to focus on the format because those guys have succeeded at everything. Ott won the Classic. Ott won Elites. Ott and Jacob won Bass Fest. He won the FORREST Cup, BFL All-American. He's won Elite Series. Like,
I just wonder where he puts all them trophies.
Well, dude, there's a Realtree released a thing of his trophy, like his life story deal. It was a video. I watched it this week. It was really cool. And it had his trophy room, and it's obnoxious, to be honest. But it was cool. He went and he grabbed a trophy off the shelf, and it was a BFL All-American trophy. And, dude, he started bawling his eyes out on the video. It was really cool. Like, I texted him.
Well, that was the one that probably changed his life.
That's exactly right,
That's
man.
The one that made it for
And look,
him.
you know, like I know, in the professional fishing ranks, Jacob gets a hard time. Like, people give him they like to give him a hard time. And dude, if you're in a bass club and you're beating everybody's breaks out,
it don't matter.
You cheating.
Yeah.
If you doing this, you cheating. If you doing that, Shannon Wheeler's calling right now on Low Budget Live. Shannon, I'll call you back. If you're watching this next Monday and I haven't called you back yet, I apologize. Dude, let's fish. Shout out, dude, let's fish. But truly, it's always that way. And I feel like, you know, he pushes everything again, Shannon Wheeler calling back. You didn't accept the decline the first time. Shannon, I'm sorry, we're recording again. Dude, Let's Fish. Shannon watches every episode. This is one of my boys. If I haven't called you back by the time this airs Monday, I apologize. This is awkward. I'm going to be honest, this is really awkward. But I am dodging your call right now, Shannon, because I have Justin Atkins in studio. But I feel like Dudley and I had this conversation.
He works at it
My
harder
gosh,
than
man.
anybody.
Like Dudley
1000%.
says, he's killing them at St. Lawrence. Of course, he wins up there. Dudley goes to Champlain to ride around for a day on the off day. Who's there? Jacob. He's riding around.
Yeah, working.
And then Dudley's like, you know what? I'm not going to let this young buck keep beating my brains out working me. Dudley went and spent 6 days on Champlain after the St. Lawrence just graphing. And Dudley had a good tournament there. He made the knockout round, but just wasn't enough. And it was so funny. Dudley was showing me pictures of stuff he's finding on his phone, on his graph. He's like, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Like he was obsessed with. And he said Jacob was there every single day he was there. He's like, man, I don't get it. The guy just won. And I think that it's that he's just obsessed with bass fishing. I don't even think it's just winning. You're obsessed. Yeah. I'm obsessed. The people watching this are obsessed. He just takes it to another level and then has been able to, like you, to make it his profession. And dude, he just don't want to let go of it.
Yeah.
Like he's just, and there'll be negative comments about Wheeler. But dude, I'll have people text me, industry people go, oh man, I can't believe you're kissing up to Wheeler or whatever. Dude, I have such an immense respect for a guy that just sets it on fire like that. Yeah. Same when you've had good years, when Joe Lee's had those years, Van Dam, whoever.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. You said in this bar and grill this year, and we were talking about the format differences because you did BPT, and you said, man, the thing is, when you get down over there, like you're down, and dude, he caught over 100 pounds at Champlain on the knockout round. Then he caught 100 pounds the next, or almost 100 pounds the next.
Dude, he drills them.
I mean, it's crazy. But, I mean, do you think, though, being there, you competed against him, Shannon Wheeler texting you on your watch now? It's probably Shannon Wheeler, leave us alone. Y'all go subscribe to Dude Let's Fish on YouTube so he'll quit calling and trying to get Justin to give him a plug on LBL. But, dude, do you think at the core, what do you think makes a difference in a guy like that, though, and a dude that averages 30th place finishes? What is it? Like, is that...
Number one, I think it's something that just clicks. It's like he's just got it. I don't know what it is, but he's got it.
He kills big deer. I mean, it's the same way. Like
he's got it.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing, and you brought that up, is he works at it harder than anybody. Dude, I get home from a tournament, I'm tired, I don't hang out with my family. I may not leave my house for like 3 days. He ain't doing that. He's filming somewhere.
That's right.
He's in his office doing knot tying videos for YouTube. He's going to Champlain, wherever. You know what I mean? And then, like, I started watching Jacob's videos and stuff, like, just in my free time because it's truthfully, it's really informative. Like, he doesn't leave
well,
things
and you
out.
gotta look. You gotta look.
You get to look.
You gotta kind of dive in there.
I get a look into it, but like, you watch some guys' videos and they're like, I don't know, we're gonna throw. I throw this buzz bait. Insert sponsor plug. Why I throw this
no
buzz
doubt.
bait.
Yeah.
His videos aren't like that. He's like, well, I do this and I cut it this way and I do this because of this, and if I'm looking for this certain deal, this way, and I'm like, he lays it out there like that's juice. He probably told more than I would have put on here. So I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, he works at this every day. No off days. And the old saying is shoot or shoot, and that guy don't miss.
He shoots.
Will
it change? You got a baby now, big coop.
Yeah.
He's got a second one on the way. Does that change that dynamic? Because, look, there's not a lot else the guy can win.
Yeah.
And will he ever, do you think, or is it always like that? Because we saw these kind of runs with Van Dam, and like we've seen these crazy runs.
I don't feel like it will stay at this level forever. I mean, I don't think he can win 3 every year.
If it does, is he the greatest to ever pick up a rod and reel?
Yeah, I think he already is.
I agree with that. I think Jacob's the greatest to ever pick up a rod and reel. No offense to anybody. I
mean, what's he been doing this for 10 years now? Nobody else has won what he's won in 10 years.
At every level, bro.
I'm about to go out on a limb here. I may get crucified for this.
Here we go. Get your mom's basement comment fingers ready.
So, he catches a hard time about he may do this and he may do that and blah, blah,
There's
blah.
all kind of speculation all the time,
Hey.
smoke, bull crap.
10 years ago, they could get info all they wanted to, and guys didn't win like that. You know what I'm saying? Professional fishing has only gone to no information in the last 5 years. In the early 2000s, dude,
you could get all the help
they
you
could
wanted.
go practice with somebody like 3 days before the tournament. It was like an open. Like, you could practice with whoever right up to it, and nobody won like he does.
And he was 19 beating that ass.
So I'm like, you know, even if he did get some help, like, it's still incredible. Like,
Well,
I don't think so. Like I said, I know how I do when I work hard at it. Like, when I get pissed off and I start putting a lot of effort into it, I see it comes back.
Yeah.
And then I get lax and I get lazy. And then I have to suck a little bit, and I'm like, all right, this ain't
Gotta
fun.
go.
Let's
Yeah,
go back
yeah.
to work. He never comes out of that gear. He's always working,
It's
dude.
terrifying, dude.
He's always working.
Well, and I think, like, it's funny, like, at FLW, we could get info. You
Yeah.
could get info. I could get info. Of course, there was an off-limit period, but you could get all the help you wanted.
And who won 3 of them that year? Nobody.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, so
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know, like, by no means am
And I
I
don't
saying
care-
anything.
No,
I think Jacob's awesome. He's always super nice to me. If you ever need anything, he's always there. And I like him.
I've
you know,
defended,
and I'm with
I've
you.
defended
I know,
him on here a lot. We've done some lives where people like, you know, oh, he's doing this. I'm like, oh, do you have proof that he's doing that? Can you show me a video where he's doing that or
Yeah.
doing this?
No,
and there's been a
1000%.
lot of stuff out there and that people say, but I'm like, you know what, dude? Okay, prove it to me.
Yeah,
because but then at the end of the day, regardless of any of that, this is what I'll say. A guy can go, hey, Luke, here's a notebook. It's full of secret spots on the lake you're going to. Oh, really? Okay. Well, guess what? I still got to get them to bite. And
Yeah.
I still got to get on the boat. And like you said at the first of this, the conditions in every multi-day tournament change.
Always change.
Every freaking day. And that dude is always.
He's on it.
I think when it really, like, he blew my mind this year, I was watching a video of him talking about St. Lawrence. And he said on the second day, his second day, he's blowing it out. So he automatically was going to get to go to the top 10 day. And the wind was going to be awful. He had already looked at the forecast that far ahead. And so he went and found new fish in an area that he knew the other dudes wouldn't be able to look for because of the wind that day. And he had them found and he rolled up and he blew it out the last. I'm like, dude, when you're thinking that far
That's
ahead,
what I was
you
gonna-
hard to run down.
That's what I was going to say.
You hard to
He's
run
2
down.
steps ahead.
You
at
hard to run down,
all
man.
times. And, like, that was something else I wanted to bring up is, like, watching his videos and watching him fish on that. Because now this year I've been able to watch it more because obviously I'm not fishing with him.
Yeah.
So I'm not out there at that time frame. So I get to sit back and watch some of this. His thought process is so much more advanced than mine.
And it's quick.
I put my boat in and I'm just like, I'm going to go flip this grass. And he's like thought way more into it than I have. You know, like that whole deal. When he won the St. Lawrence, everybody was catching them. They were on the bed.
Smash 'em. They were catching,
easy
yeah.
to catch. You know what I mean? Like, it was just see one, pitch your stuff down there, catch it, throw flogger in floor, reel him in. Like, everybody's catching them. But he thought ahead and thought, you know, if I catch them on a casting rod, because they're biting, they're not hard to catch. So let's throw something out there. I can reel them in faster. I can reel more in a day. I never, like, I sat there on the couch and I had smoke coming out of my ears. And I'm like, no
get it.
freaking wonder I didn't beat him. Because I never would have thought of that.
Dude.
But he did. He thinks about it from all, like, my train of thoughts right here. His is this way.
Well, dude,
His is much broader.
I'm a guy that I'm like you said, to get preconceived notions or whatever, and I'm going, man, it's April, I'm going to catch him on this old wacky worm. Well, dude, I'll be 5 hours into a day still throwing the same damn color, the same hook, the same, and those details matter, right? Or like flipping. You're flipping, like, rate of fall matters. I think you would agree with that. Something
I
I
agree.
talked about on here a bunch. And with good flippers, like a Hackney, a Strader, Bradley Hallman, they talk about that a lot. Well, dude, if I ain't getting bit on my brush hog or my beaver or whatever I'm flipping, I'm like, well, damn, I ain't biting that today.
Ain't
And
biting
they'll
a
go to a
flipping bait.
3/8 instead of a quarter and just,
Yeah.
it's those small things. And I'll be like, well, they ain't doing it today. Well, he's already thought 5 steps ahead of what,
Yeah.
oh, they're probably doing this because they're not doing that. And
Yeah.
they're set up like this. Or
Yeah.
I saw a Strader do this one time. He's reeling in a jig at Smith. We were practicing for an FLW when I was a co-angler. And this fish like swatted at his bait. And he goes, well, they want a faster fall, dude. I've seen them do that a bunch. And I went, what? And dude, he sits down, ties him on another jig. Next tree we come to, he flipped in a heavier jig. Thunk. Next tree, thunk. Then he starts shaking them off. Got like 20 bites. And I'm like, hey, can you take your brain out and set it on the front deck so I can examine it? Because I bet it don't look like mine, you know?
No.
Just
I
just
told
those
him before.
moves,
He's
man.
like,
yeah.
He's like, squirrels are in the pine trees today.
Dude, now sometimes, listen, me and Brad Knight, I call bullshit on some of that stuff. He'll be like, dude, you got to go down the banks that got 3 pieces of chunk rock next to a flat rock with a crawfish hole. If you find them, dude, you going to catch them. And I'll be like, I've been idling around for damn days, and I ain't seen a bank like that yet. He's found 20 spots like that.
Squirrels are eating pine cones right now. The crawfish are spawning. I better swim a jig. And I'm like, huh?
Spot on. He will hit you with that. And he'll be like, well, dude, you got to throw the 3/8 black and blue chatterbait because the moon is half full and it's going to be overhead at 9:17 this morning. You're like, what did you just say?
Yeah, the moon's up during daylight hours this week, so you need to throw this.
And who can argue it? Shout out to the W had a top 10 up there at
The
Champlain.
black cows are standing up in the field, and the brown ones are laying down. They're on a crawdad.
Better throw a shake in. I mean, like, what? I text Wes when he made the top 10 up there. I said, congratulations, old man. Was messing with him. I said, hey, I'm not real sure on this MLF deal, you know, so I've been really opinionated. I said, but I think how it works is you got to catch more than everybody else tomorrow to win, so good luck. And he texted back and said, no, I've got to catch more than Wheeler. That's it. So he texted me back, and I said, yeah, he's like a Hoover vacuum. And he goes, 1,000,000%, it's crazy. And then he goes out and does it again. And I'm like, that's got to be, because we're all like, Matty Lee. We're pulling for Matt. Matt has a killer day. And then gets that top 10 round. And I think Matt said he had some locals move in on his stuff. I saw his post. Like he had some stuff go down, I think. But super good tournament for him up there. But dude, that Wheeler. Lucas, one of the best fishermen you and I know. Like he had a killer rounds going in. Gets in that, stumbles a little bit. He had to catch so many. But you know what? You can lean on that excuse. But Wheeler caught 100 pounds in the knockout round. It's still
I know.
So
He's incredible, dude. I mean, he just don't miss.
Not at all.
I got all the respect in the world for him.
Oh, yeah. Me too, man.
1,000%. I don't care. Haters hate. Shooters shoot. That guy don't miss.
That's right. Like, it's easy to sit on the couch and be like, that guy does this. The only thing that I will say that I can't stand about Jacob Wheeler, and Jacob, if you're watching Low Budget Live right now, the fact that he says ding drives me absolutely crazy. Like it does. Like it keeps me up at night.
I just think it's funny.
I mean, I think it's funny too, but he just has to say it so damn much now. Like if you watch it, it's just ding, ding, ding. I'm like, damn, his hands got to get tired.
If he called him like me and you, he wouldn't get to say it that
much.
It wouldn't go.
No. I would be like, God, I hope I get to say that in the next 17 days.
That freaking kidding. I hope I get to say ding today.
Dude.
Every time I blast off, I'm like, man, it'd be cool to get to say ding one time today.
I hope you get to say it. I said pal in a video the other day, and I didn't realize it when I caught a 5-pounder, and I was like, I ain't trying to be like Chris Lane out here. And I said, pal. I was like, what are you doing? Get your own thing, you moron. I was editing, and I'm like, I almost didn't show the clip of the biggest fish I caught in the whole video. I boat flipped a 5-pounder. I was like, pal. I'm like, what are you doing? Stop it. But I didn't say ding, Jacob and Mark and MDJ. All right. As we wind down, I got to ask you, what do you think? This is a little loaded, but I feel like I know you shoot me straight. We're also this week MPFL. Y'all watch it. Winnebago. We'll be doing live coverage starting Thursday. The MLF, title event. It's no longer the Forrest Cup. What do you think about that?
I think it kind of sucks.
I mean, you don't have anything to do with it anymore, neither do I. But I'm saying, I
think it kind of sucks. They killed
for the legacy of it. Like we got this thing. Like, dude, it's special to me. Like Justin will tell you. Like I'm geeking. Like this being here is cool for me. We're gonna get a selfie. You'll see it on Instagram. It's cool that it's here in my shop. I mean, it's a wrestling belt now. It's less money now. It's still, look, they give away $10,000. Everybody qualifies. It's still hard to make.
It's hard to make. That's right. Look, dude, I always said the Cup's one of the hardest tournaments to make because you fish against 200 to make 30 spots.
That's right.
You know, and I get it. The anglers, those guys that were at the elites for all those years were years of cuts, years of season guys. Like, they called the crap out of them. But 100 boats on the lake versus 200
makes so much a difference.
So much difference, because you just don't get to fish as much. You don't get to run as much stuff. Anyways, that's a whole nother rabbit we chase
for hours.
That nobody's going to have the same opinion on. Like, two guys cannot hardly have the same opinion on which fishing trail had the best fishermen.
Yeah.
Like, that's completely stupid to even talk about.
Well, most people judge it by the names they recognize.
That's right.
And other than that, they're like, that's the argument for MLF now. Well, they got the best in the world. Well, yeah, but
them guys
they got the names. But
they got the names. And those guys, I get it. They earned that.
Yes.
They fished for years and survived years of cuts.
That's
Dude,
right.
I'm on the chopping block. I got to catch them next year.
You got to catch them next year.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
we were
not
just talking about
sit here
that.
and say that, like, they didn't. Like, all those guys earned it. They have a reason to be legacy status.
And Bass just cut several. We won't get into the details. I heard rumor of it, but some of them have been reaching out to MPFL. But like over 20 guys gone, and that's got to happen.
Yeah, no,
like,
it's got to
happen.
That's what makes it the Elite Series. That's what's gonna bring up, that next group of legends.
But it's every 2 years. But
every
COVID,
2 years.
they
That's
let it go
they
for a
made
year.
it be a third, but. Anyways, like right now, like, you don't know some of the names of the guys I'm fishing against, but dude, they catch them just as good. I fished all 3 trails in the last 5 years. I'm one of the only people that's done that.
Yeah.
Like, I have fished FLW 2 years, MLF 2 years,
That's
and now I'm on the
true.
elites. I don't know anybody else that's done that. Like, in the last just few years, has fished
Very
all
small.
3.
Well, yeah, and your entire career of basically 5 years.
Yeah,
You've
I've been at all 3 organizations. Them guys I fish against right now catch them just as good as anybody I've been around, minus Jacob Wheeler. He catches them. He's catching better than everybody.
Yeah,
of
that's
all
right.
time. So period.
That's right.
But it's I don't know, to get back to the whole question, like, it's been called different things. It was the Jacobs Cup.
Yeah.
It's been a few things, but it's always revolved around this trophy while we're talking about it.
Yeah,
I
let's
feel like-
move
I
it
feel
back
like
in here
it'd
for
be-
the end of the show. Let's move it back in here.
Be disrespectful.
Yes, right there. Look at
this.
this.
So
I'm just going to touch it.
it's always revolved around that trophy.
And it was a big event.
And it's a big
Trade
event.
show,
I've
whole thing
known
like the
about
classic.
it my whole life, like people who won the cup this year, and the cup's going on, and the whole 9 yards. It was always a life-changing event. So to win it, it becomes part of my resume. It becomes what defined my career, what allowed me to get sponsors early enough to help me continue to do this whole shooting match. And then they killed it and turned it into something else. And I'm like, man, whatever. I get it.
If you're the dude that wins a wrestling belt, you're probably just as excited about it, I guess. Like, it's a big
1000%.
paycheck, whatever.
It still is 1,000%.
But
Just
it's
like,
not this.
I'm just like, man, it's
not
that
this.
just had years
RIP Forcewood Cup.
of legacy, and it's just RIP Forcewood
I
Cup.
dared Brad Knight. I said, hey, man, when you win the wrestling belt, I want you to go Undertaker, Tombstone Pile Driver. Whoever thought it was a good idea. to whatever moron was like in a meeting, the cup, and then just put a line through it. And they're like, but we're still going to have a championship. Here,
And literally, I'll be honest with you, like, I have people ask me all the time, they're like, you hate MLF now, you live on. I have no problem with anything or anybody there.
Yeah.
Like, zero. Except for, I was a little butthurt they killed the cup. That's the only thing, literally. If somebody was like, if you disliked one thing they've ever done, that was it. Other than that, I don't care. I don't give a crap about the format. That's for some people. Some people love it. That's fine.
There are times it's exciting to watch.
Dude, it's Lucas and Coulter the other day. It was fun to watch.
That's right.
Like, I'm fine with all that. I love all the people. All my friends are still there. It just wasn't for me. That's fine.
That's right.
Some people work at UPS and think it sucks, so they go to FedEx. And you're still just shipping boxes. You just like FedEx better.
That's right.
Some people at FedEx want to work at UPS. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean
At the
you
end of
have
the
to
day,
be it. Like,
and this is something that
we're all just making a living.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's what Wheeler and I text this week. And Jacob has declined to come on here before, like, and I get it, right? Sponsor, like, my history with him, like, I get it. He's super respectful, always texts me back immediately, like, always answers calls, whatever. But we were going back and forth, and he said, man, at the end of the day, We're all just people that really love bass fishing.
We're just making
and I said that. I said, yeah, man, whether people agree with what I got to say or disagree, the place that I speak from is one of a love of a sport that I've loved since I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. So when I get fired up about one thing or another, like it does suck for me that it's changed so much, I guess, right? But that's life. Like everything changes, and
it's kind of settled in. Like I feel
everything's going to take its place.
Everybody was like, "Oh my god!"
I'm going to put you on the spot with this one last thing. What do you think about MPFL because as we talk about changing and everything settling in, dude? I think it's taking its place as something that those guys didn't even realize it would. Yeah. As in, rumor mill. We're going to have some current Elite Series guys fishing with us next year. They're going to double dip.
Yeah.
I think. Wink. We're going to have some former Elite Series guys. We're probably going to have some big five guys come over. We only had like 11 spots. We had 70-something applications. When they open it up, it's insane. But will it find its place as like that FLW tour of old
I think
spot?
It will.
Yeah, I mean.
I think it will. Because here's the thing. You know, you got late 90s, you had what? You had the top 100.
That's right.
And all that. So you had like 100 guys, 150 guys that were making a living doing it. But how many kids were fishing? None. Like,
me.
I went with my dad to team tournaments, and I was like me and maybe one other kid.
I never saw
fished,
any. Yeah.
You know. And so it wasn't like the sport was very big. Fast forward 20 years later, 25 years later, there is thousands of kids fishing. Thousands of them.
That's right.
I mean, like, they got the college national championship going right now. It's got 150 boats in it. High school tournaments have 500, all this. So you have the sport of fishing has just it's grown 10-fold, 20-fold in 20 years. And we still just have 100 spots for guys to try to make a living in it. So I think there is a place for the MPFL, for the FLW Tour, you know, and give guys a chance to make a living. And, you know, there'll be 300 of us, you know, make a living in this sport versus there only being 100 spots.
And there are arguments about that from the guys at the leagues. They want it to be, 60 boats, 80 boats, 50 boats. They want it to be less. And, like, I get it.
I feel like a top tier level should probably fish 100.
Yeah.
And be considered the best, whether you like BPT's format better or the Elite Series better. Doesn't matter. Whichever one of those two you think's the best. I think that 80 to 100 is good, but having another trail that fishes for large money, that fishes 150 boats, who cares? That's what I grew up doing.
Yeah.
That's what you grew up doing.
That's right.
Let's get it on. Like, I'll give you my $5,000. Let's go fish.
Well, I mean, you look at local tournaments, and then you look at like the opens. Hell, there are 200-something boats now.
Like, let's do it. I don't care. You know, but I think for like coverage and simplicity and, you know, it being here, it needs to be attainable. Like, it needs to be, you know, a set number. You are part of this group.
That's right.
But I feel like there is a place for trails that have larger amounts of boats, but you get out there, you fish for big money, you practice, you make your living, you can support your sponsors, all that. I think we got plenty of room for that. There's just there's too many people that want to do it.
Well, my thing is, dude, not everybody's going to make the Elite Series. Not everybody's going to make BPT. That doesn't mean they're a bad fisherman. There are 3 divisions, over 600 boats. Out of 3 divisions of the Opens, they take 12 people. Yeah, because of the Opens AOI. 12 guys. That ain't a lot. No. You earned that. You earned that spot now. And not everybody's Greg Hackney, Jason Christie, and Justin Atkins that make it look like that shit's easy either. Yeah. Just blaze through. Justin Hamner and Josh Strachner's of the world, Brian News. It just like slid on in because, dude, you got guys that have been fighting down there. I call it purgatory. So these guys for the Opens, I mean, these guys leaving the elites that got cut, will they all end up in the Opens, you think? I mean, like, what do they do? Like, does that mean you're done? Hey, I'm not going to do this anymore? I mean, I don't even know, like, what you do.
Find what they want to do in life, I guess, you know. But I don't know. I think there's definitely room for it. It's we're just fishermen trying to make a living, and I think that's a good deal. I like it.
What do you think about the commentary? The commentators, do you think they're good?
Fat Cat's really good.
And thank you guys for listening to LBL.
No, it's
awesome.
It's a good deal. I just, I don't know. I think the only thing that I think does suck about fishing so much, I mean, such large high school tournaments, such large college tournaments, all the professional tournaments, we all go to the same lakes.
Yeah, and they get the piss beat out of them.
It's like 1,000 people can play on a golf course, and we can all play on it. But, like, we have a limited source that we're playing in. And the problem is, and this is something that I've been preaching for the last few months, there's a lot of really good lakes we don't go to. Nobody goes to. And I'm like, let's venture out.
The problem is, and like being on
the tourism doesn't
that's
have
right.
the money
That's it. And that's what sucks.
And I wish we could find a way to compensate for that.
1,000,000%, dude. That's what, like, being on the behind the scenes side of the NPFL, that's always the biggest struggle, because I'll say, hey, why do you guys not try to go to this lake?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, because we reached out and they didn't call us back or whatever. As long as, and for those of you that don't know this, these tournament trails, because a lot of y'all comment, oh, why are they going to St. John's again? Well, it's because St. John's wrote a check.
Yeah.
They pay for these events to be there. It's not a bad thing.
No,
it's just how it's always been.
It's a necessary
yes,
evil.
It is.
It's good. Like, it's what helps pay my bills.
No
like,
doubt.
I get all
no
that.
Doubt.
That's fine. I just wish there was some way that we could compensate that a
That's
different
right.
way. And then
But it would have to come from sponsors, because they're used to that income. All tournament trails.
We need, like, Gillette to get in and start giving money and stuff, instead of, like, we're all fishing out of this same pond when it comes to sponsors.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, just dilutes it down, makes it that much harder.
Those non-endemics are hard, though, because MLF's tried that. Bass has done it, too. They just come and go so damn much. That's the problem. Like, they'll dump a bunch of money in. We've seen it with FLW over the years, like with the Walmart thing. And then at the end of the day, it's just that, no doubt. And then at the end of the day, it's just our little old bass fishing industry that has to be the backbone, whether that's the boats, the motors, the electronics companies,
And as
StarTron.
large as it's growing, it's really amazing that the non-endemics haven't taken into it more.
You would think.
I mean, I hadn't looked at any numbers. Somebody's going to blast me.
Oh, yeah, get ready. I'm going to turn your microphone up even more for this one.
I feel like we're growing and NASCAR's falling off.
Yeah, I think NASCAR's definitely falling off.
You know what I mean? Like,
you read
and I
that
don't
a lot.
know, like, what exact numbers are, like how many people watch NASCAR, how many people watch Bass Live during the week.
Still got to think NASCAR's
I'm sure NASCAR's
bigger.
probably a little bigger.
Yeah, probably bigger.
But I feel like we're doing this. They're going to pass at some point in time, because this is growing at
They're going to pass, pun intended.
in the fast lane.
In the fast lane.
In turn 3. But anyways, I feel like they just got to be getting closer. And, like, non-endemics are all over NASCAR. Firestone ain't the only one sponsoring NASCAR races. You know what I mean? So, like, at what point are those going to meet and we're going to be able to merge into something the same? That's really
another car reference merge. I like. You should start a podcast. You're better at this than I am.
So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think about that. I'm like, it's not. I mean, obviously, like, I still think NASCAR probably has more views. I don't think it's, but I don't think it's not near as spaced out as it was in the 90s. In the early 2000s.
It was huge.
Back then,
huge.
NASCAR was huge and fishing was tiny.
I can just remember a time in my life, like with my grandpa, that there wasn't a Sunday he wasn't going to be in a recliner watching a race, and my uncle was very much that way, and my dad was some. And now I really don't know anybody that watches it like that anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. So I feel like it has to be, that gap has to be closing. So, like, at what point are we going to be able to pass that threshold to where non-endemics like, what, this is what's up. I like this.
I don't know if you can hear this or not, but it's killing my ADD. But Thor, my Australian Shepherd, is losing his mind outside. And so for those of y'all listening, that's Thor. Shout out Thor. He's going crazy. Well, dude, I can't thank you enough for coming and taking time away from Tessa and Coop to come do this and celebrating 4 years of LBL. Thanks to each and every one of y'all that tune in every week to this craziness. Make sure you're following Justin on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook. Sometimes he gets them stirred up over there. You never know what he might post, what he might say. I like it.
Know.
He's opinionated like myself. That's why we get along most of the time, even though I almost blew up his neighbor's house one time on an LBL. You've had a lot of LBL history.
Yeah, you did. It was Corey that almost
No, it was Corey. That was Big C. Almost blew up your sister-in-law's house at the time.
Sister-in-law's house.
With a firework accident.
With a mortar. Like one of
Yes.
those big ones. It wasn't like he shot a bottle rocket and it hit. Like he stuck one of those, got the long fuse down in the cannon, and then the cannon flipped over.
It was not a good moment. It's on my
awesome. It
Instagram
was actually
somewhere.
awesome.
Yeah, it was actually really cool. And it was like 0 degrees outside. But Justin's always been good to me and coming on, and I appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
much so. Go take y'all out with some Biloxi Blues. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not. I will be going to Wisconsin. This will be uploaded Monday for y'all to listen at. And I'll see y'all next time. Be sure to hug your mama. Biloxi Blues, and we're gonna make Justin buy me lunch. 4 years. Thank y'all.
Spanish moss and Civil War ghosts. Well, I'm gonna leave them in the past. Any direction, Lord, I'll be fine. It don't matter east or west. North, south, wherever the wind blows. I'm leaving those burdens at rest.